So he went to his shop, which stood near the house, and worked until dusky evening, released from labor. So he decided not to interfere, and he left his house, went to his shop, which was also nearby. And now it was almost evening has gone, and it was about to night. The light shining through the little chamber windows was the first object that attracted Joe's attention on turning towards the house. When he turned towards his house, the first thing which attracted him was the shining light through the room of the window. It was a good omen. It was a good symbol. The path led him by the windows, and one opposite he could not help pausing to look in. And when he started walking back to his house, he could not control himself to look through the window. It was now dark enough outside to screen him from observation, because outside was a dark and inside the room there was a light. So while walking on the road, he could easily see what was going on in the room. Maggie lay a little raised on the pillow with the lamp shining full upon her face. Mrs. Thompson was sitting by the bed talking to the child, but her back towards the window. So they both were talking to each other. Maggie sat a little bit with the support of the pillow, and the back of the Mrs. Thompson was towards the window, and that is why Mr. Thompson could not see her face. So that her countenance was not seen, her expressions were not seen from Maggie's face. Therefore must read the character of the intercourse. Intercourse means their conversation, their talking between them. He could understand from the expression of Maggie. He saw that her eyes were intently fixed upon his wife, and now and then a few words came from, as in the answer from her lips, that her expression was sad and tender, but he saw nothing of bitterness and pain. Now he saw that Maggie was looking at his wife. He was answering. There was a pain on her face, there was a softness on her face, but no pain, no bitterness. There was sadness and softness. A deep drawn breath was followed by one of relief, as a weight lifted itself from his heart. What weight? That either his wife would be good with the child or not. That burden, that doubt is cleared. So he took the breath of relief. On entering, Joe did not go immediately to the little chamber. His heavy tread about the kitchen brought his wife somewhat hurriedly from the room where she had been with Maggie. So Joe thought it best not to refer to a child, nor to manifest any concern in regard of her. Heavy tread means heavy way of walking. He entered straightforward. He went to the kitchen. He didn't go to the room where Maggie was there. So from his walking, his wife understood. She came back, entered in the kitchen, started doing her work. But Mr. Joe did not mention anything about the child, and even didn't ask about her. How soon will supper be ready? He asked. When the dinner will be ready? He asked to his wife. Right soon, answered Mrs. Thompson, beginning to bustle about. There was no in her voice. There was no bitterness. There was no harshness now in her voice. Bustle means hurriedly. She was busy in the work in the kitchen now to prepare the dinner for him. After washing from his hands and face and dust and soil of work, Joe left the kitchen and went to the little bedroom. A pair of large bright eyes looked up at him from a snowy bed, looked at him tenderly, gratefully, pleadingly. Now he went to the room where Maggie was there. When he entered the room, he saw that there was a girl, tender, who had an expression of softness, gratefulness on her face. How his heart swelled in his bosom. Bosom means felt the feelings for the girl. With what a quicker motion came the heartbeats. Joe sat down, and now for the first time examining the thin frame carefully under the lamplight. He was clearly looking at the face of the child, saw that it was an attractive face and full of childish sweetness, which suffering had not been able to obliterate. There was a sweetness on her face, there was a childish tenderness on her face. Her face was very attractive, and either her life was very miserable, but that childish look was not absent from her face. Your name is Maggie, he said. He sat down and looked her soft little hand in his hand. He took his hand in his hand, and asked for his name. Yes, sir. Her voice struck a chord and quavered in a low, straining music. When in her low voice she answered, "It seems that a sound of a music." "Have you been sick long?" "Yes, sir." What a sweet patient was in her tone. "Has the doctor been to see you?" For he asked that either doctor came to see her or not. "He used to come, but not lately." "He used to come, but afterwards he did not come." "Have you any pain sometime, but not now?" Then he asked, Are you feeling any pain?" She replied, "Mostly I feel, but not right now I am not feeling." When had you pain?" "This morning my side ached and my back hurt when you carried me." She said, "When you carried me here, at that time I felt in my back. It hurts you to be lifted or moved on." This question by Mr. Joe Thompson, when somebody move you, does it hurt or not? "Yes, sir." "Your side doesn't ache now?" "No, sir." "Does it ache a great deal?" These are the questions by Mr. Joe Thompson. Yes or no are the answer by Maggie. "But is an ache any since I have been on this soft bed?" She said, "Now I am on the soft bed, so I am not feeling any kind of a pain." "Oh, sir, oh, so good." What a satisfaction mingled with gratitude was in her voice. When she replied, Mr. Joe Thompson felt the gratitude, softness, and satisfaction in her voice. "Supper is ready," said Mrs. Joe Thompson, looking into the room a little while afterwards. After some time, she came and looked into the room and asked for the supper, that is dinner. Joe glanced from his wife's face to the guy. She understood him and answered. Joe just gave him a hint through his expression about the dinner of Maggie, and she understood and answered, "She can wait until we are done. Then I will bring her something to eat." She said, "First we will have a dinner, then I will bring something for the girl." There was an effort at indifference on the part of Mrs. Thompson now. Her behavior, her tone was completely different, but her husband had seen her through the window and understand that coldness was assumed. Coldness, politeness was there in Mrs. Joe Thompson, and her husband has already noticed that when he saw her through the window. Joe waited after sitting down at the table for his wife to introduce the subject uppermost in both of their thoughts. The major thought of in their mind was about the child. So Mr. Joe Thompson, when they were having their dinner, he waited that his wife should start the topic. But she kept silent on that theme, and for many minutes, and he maintained a like reserve. At last she said abruptly. They both didn't talk, but at the end Mrs. Joe Thompson said, "What are you going to do with the child?" "I thought you understood me that she was go to the poorhouse," replied Joe, as if surprised at her question. He showed that he was surprised at the question of his wife when she said, "What are you going to do with the child?" So she simply replied that tomorrow she will go to the poorhouse. Mrs. Joe Thompson looked rather strangely at her husband for some moment. She gave a strange look, then dropped her eyes. The subject was not again referred during the meal. Then again during their supper or dinner, they did not talk about the child. At its close, Mrs. Thompson toasted a slice of bread and softened it with milk and butter, adding to his cup a tea. She took them into Maggie and held a small waiter, that is table, on which she had placed them, and while the hungry child ate with every sign of pleasure. While eating, then she prepared a lunch, sliced bread with milk and butter, and then small table. She placed everything in front of her, and she ate with every sign of pleasure. Means she enjoyed while eating that dinner.